you gonna call?
Hello and welcome back to Where's the Bandwagon. My name is Will and this is part 3 of our breakdown of the Unquiet Dead. If you haven't seen part 1 or part 2 then you can use the card on the top right hand side of the screen, and remember to stick around to the end of the video to find out how you can win these Doctor Who trading cards. Let's get to it. Rose steps out of the TARDIS and into the past, leaving a footprint in the snow. Mark Gatiss wanted snow to blow into the TARDIS when the doors opened, but this ultimately wasn't achieved. The crunch of the snow is magical, and snow would be used throughout the series to create other magical scenes.
Here we go. History.
Stand by then, and action!
The production team did a great job of creating this Victorian street. This story is set in Cardiff, however the filming location is in Swansea. Cardiff couldn't be used as a filming location because there were not enough Victorian looking areas and buildings left in the city.
Cardiff in 1869 was a relatively small place, and not much of Cardiff from that period has been left behind. So that meant that we had to go elsewhere. So we ended up going to Swansea, which is where I'm from. So it was fantastic. Doctor Who got to come to Swansea. It was the most exciting thing. It was like my childhood fantasy come true.
And I was born in Swansea, and always, as a little schoolboy, loved Doctor Who and used to walk around dreaming of Doctor Who being in Swansea, and now it's actually here, and it's not the episode I wrote, which is like so close and yet so far.
And set an A.
Russell T Davies set this story in Cardiff as he felt that it was important to include Welsh culture and actors in the show because the show was being made by BBC Wales.
I wanted an episode set in Cardiff because I think it's quite important that we're made in Cardiff. We put Cardiff on screen and get a Welsh cast in there, and I wanted Charles Dickens in there.
This episode was directed by Eros Lynn. Lynn directed the last episode, The End of the World, and in my breakdown of that episode I included a discussion about how amazing this scene was. You can check that out using the card on the top right hand side of the screen.
Obviously there was gas in Dickensian time, but mostly firelit and oil lamps and candles. And the way I'm making it warm is a combination of putting color filters on lights and putting filters on camera.
The production team used small pieces of paper to create the snow. This backfired spectacularly in an unexpected way, as it turned out the horses were terrified of it.
There was a wind kind of howling, and the snow is actually made of paper, so it kind of gusts it up into the air, and the horses were terrified.
This is when I'm glad I'm not an actual producer. As in, I'm an executive producer, and this time Phil is the producer, and that's hard work. On a night like this, when it is, the wind is blowing and the snow's not putting down and we're late, that's when being a producer is a nightmare, because you're just looking at your watch and looking at money, and that's where I can swan off. At midnight, I'm off. It's like until 4 in the morning, and I'm going to go, yeah, thank you, bye.
It's always very complicated, but it's doubly so tonight, because we've got special effects, we've got horses and carriages, we've got something like 70 extras all in period dress this evening as well, and so it's an enormous thing to coordinate. Terrifying.
The Doctor goes and pays for a newspaper. Now Rose might feel like this is a bit strange, as in the last episode we saw that Eccleston doesn't carry any money.
No money.
What sort of date are you?
Also, can anyone understand what this vendor says when the Doctor buys the newspaper? Is it English? Does the TARDIS translate Welsh?
Still, this adventure of showing her this wonderful place, this, you know, the
So we'll have a couple of beats of that before the reaction to... Step,
Exactly,
come in.
I got the flight a bit wrong.
I don't care.
It's not 1860, it's 1869.
I don't care.
And it's not Naples.
I don't care.
It's Cardiff.
Right.
This teasing of Cardiff City would be repeated later in the episode. The Doctor is okay with dying and in a dungeon, but is appalled by the idea of it being in Cardiff.
Cardiff.
We see Charles Dickens performing a live reading of A Christmas Carol to a captivated audience.
Marley's face.
The book A Christmas Carol has influenced a ton of popular culture, and Doctor Who is no exception. This episode, as mentioned earlier, has a number of traits which directly correspond to the novel. Most notably, Charles Dickens' character arc mirrors that of Scrooge.
Humbug.
The Doctor Who episode A Christmas Carol, one of the best ever written Doctor Who episodes, has the 11th Doctor using the story as a basis for a plan to convince Dumbledore to save Nebula. A number of actors in Doctor Who have appeared in a TV or film adaptation of A Christmas Carol. These include Richard E. Grant, David Warner. Catherine Tate, the actress who plays Donna Noble, wrote and starred in her own comedic adaptation of the book. The adaptation included performances from herself, David Tennant, Ben Miller and Roger Lloyd.
Who are you gonna call?
The 10th Doctor would reference the book in the novelisation of the 50th anniversary Day of the Doctor. When he's comparing his previous and future incarnations, he comments, "Very Christmas Carol." We see Charles Dickens perform the section of A Christmas Carol where the door knocker famously turns into Marley's face. Charles Dickens would experience a similar ghostly event later in the night. Originally, Mark Gatiss wanted the door knocker to physically transform into a face to more accurately reference the Christmas Carol, but this was not feasible with the time or the budget. The unrealistic fact that this episode features ghosts at Christmas with Charles Dickens is made fun of in the episode The Unicorn and the Wasp.
Yeah, but think about it. There's a murder, a mystery, and Agatha Christie.
No, happens to me all the time.
No, but isn't that a bit weird? I mean, that's like meeting Charles Dickens and he's surrounded by ghosts at Christmas.
Well...
Oh, come on!
We see a truly terrifying sight. No, not this woman's hat, but Mrs. Peace in the audience. The reason for her zombified body attending this event would be explained later in the episode, as Sneed says that the zombies retain some of themselves, such as another man who walked into his own funeral.
And it's the queerest thing, but they hang on to scraps.
2 sugars, sir, just how we like it.
One old fella used to be a sexton, almost walked into his own memorial service.
And I will not rest until I find his killer.
What?
His killer? It's hard for me.
The Gelf leave Mrs. Peace's body and make another terrifying sound. Charles Dickens says,
"What phantasmagoria is this?"
This is a reference to the Doctor Who audio of the same name that was written by Mark Gatiss. The Doctor hears the cry of the audience and immediately cheers up, saying,
That's more like it.
This is similar to what we've seen previously, how he shows his love of danger at the end of Rose and in the end of the world.
Is it always this dangerous?
Yeah. Fantastic.
I don't understand. In what way is that fantastic?
The Gelf alien flies around the theatre. Now this scene always reminds me of the Carrionites flying around the Globe Theatre 270 years earlier. Immediately Charles Dickens says that the event is trickery.
It is a lantern show. It's trickery.
His disbelief in the ghosts would be expanded upon throughout the rest of the episode.
Projection on glass. I suppose who put you up to?
Checking for strings.
Wires, perhaps. There must be some mechanism behind this fraud.
Nothing but luminous tambourines and a squeeze box concealed between the knees.
The Doctor sees the Gelf and again says fantastic.
Fantastic.
This look of wonder from the Doctor reminds me of the 10th Doctor seeing the werewolf for the first time. Charles Dickens insults the Doctor.
I'm the Doctor, by the way.
Doctor, you look more like a navvy.
What's wrong with this jumper?
A navvy was a manual labourer who was involved in construction projects. Thus, Dickens's term is meant to be a class-based insult. The 4th Doctor would call Romana this after she identified the formula for cement and concrete.
You know something? You've got all the makings of a first-class navvy.
Eccleston has always been proud of his native accent and on numerous occasions has said that he's proud of his working class background.
And the accent changed. I'm from a working class background. I use my own accent. The Doctor had always been rather like that, you know, and kind of...
Was that a choice that you were able to make?
It's the only accent I can do. No, I was pretty defiant. It was like class, you know, class pride.
The Doctor straight away clocks that the Gelth are using and are made of gas. It is interesting that this revelation is made early by the Doctor. This is different to other times when the Doctor can't explain something supernatural, where the explanation is revealed throughout the episode, such as in Hyde. In Stephen Moffat's The Doctor Dances, the seemingly supernatural empty children have an amazing explanation in one of the best sci-fi explaining speeches of all time.
What was your favorite episode to shoot?
Oh, The Doctor Dances, and they were written by Stephen Moffat, and I felt I really understood what he wanted from the Doctor. I was never as sure what Russell wanted. What I could see with Russell is exactly what he wanted for Rose and Billy Piper. I think that was his strength. I think Stephen's writing of the Doctor, or my Doctor, was really a gift to me.
The address on Sneed's hearse indicated that this business is in Llandaff. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. This is where Terry Nation, the creator of the Daleks, was born. The sneaky Sneed kidnaps Rose by using some chloroform-based substance. Yeah, no, think about it. If Tennant was cast as Sneed and the audience would have just seen him do this, there's no way he's being cast as the Doctor. The Doctor runs after Rose with Charles following him. Charles is convinced that the Doctor is behind the trickery he saw in the theatre.
Just you're satisfied, sir.
It is later learned that Dickens has spent some of his life dedicated to proving that this kind of spiritualism is fake.
For
I've always railed against the fantasist. Oh, I loved an illusion as much as the next man, revelled in them, and that's exactly what they were. Illusions. The real world is something else.
The Doctor, not interested in this random person, says,
Yeah, mate, not now, thanks.
This shows that the Doctor has failed to recognise Charles Dickens, much like he will fail to recognise another famous author.
Agatha Christie. What about her?
Don't forget to subscribe to be automatically entered into this card giveaway. I choose multiple winners every part 1 video, so keep watching my videos to check to see if you're a winner. I'm also doing giveaways of these cards on my social media accounts, so follow me there. Thanks for watching, like the video if you enjoyed it, and please consider sharing my content to support my work. Part 4 will be out within 48 hours. See you then.